Well,
This is a one of the more um, depressing pieces in Tzadok. It's profound but depressing because it shows that you never know. It's Amigdalit. Pamim sharoa b'birur Hashem Yisbarach Mesayo. See clearly Hashem is helping you out. Maskim Imasov. Hashem agrees with what you're doing. Everything's going great. Perfect. Im Koseh. Nevertheless, ain't no raya kamasav yisharim bemes. It's no proof what you're doing is right. You think if I have siyata dishmaya, if I've got, I'm not saying you, a person thinks if they have siyata dishmaya, if they have divine assistance in what they're doing, must be Hashem's on their side. Must be they're going on the right derech. No, no proof. And this it says Hashem takes you in the path you go. The Chazal say, in the path you want to go, they take you along. In other words, if you're determined to bark up the wrong tree, as they say in English, Hashem, the fact that you're succeeding in barking up the tree, meaning getting up to the tree, doesn't mean that it's the right tree. Could be you're totally on the wrong tree. There's no proof. The Isa b'derech derotze leilech, the Sefer Mishlei. Well, Isa b'derech, I should say, comma. The Rotze Mar means to say b'Sefer Mishlei derech haTorah. It's even in the derech haTorah, which is even more frightening. You can be going a derech which you think is a Torah dik derech. K'mosh Tzlam Le'os Memches. Kein Asher Yitzvah Misayel El Kshuv Api Daito Olech B'derech haTorah. So Kosh Baruch Hu doesn't help you out if you're going according to this. If you're going on a derech which is not a Torah derech, but he does help you out if you're going on a Torah derech, even if you're going on the wrong Torah derech. So, which is a fascinating idea in and of itself. That when it says "b'derech adam rotzeh molich moso," it doesn't mean that if you're going on a derech in another area of life that Hashem is helping you out. No, but in Torah it will. But it's not evidence that it's the right derech in Torah. It might be the wrong derech in Torah, but Hashem takes you anyway. And Mashalom de Bilam. And this they derive from Bilam. Gamfi daito, I think it should call Bilam. Kapi sitra delay. I know I don't know if that's the typo. It should say shel Bilam. Yeah, it's shel Bilam. It's a mistake in the sparia. Gamfi daito shel Bilam. Kapi sitra delay. According to Bilam's opinion, according to his perspective, his side literally, he was going in the right way from his perspective. He thought this was the Torah's derech. He thought this was God's Torah for him, that he should go to curse the Jews. According to his perspective. Move on, that's understood. So Hashem said, you don't want to go, go. So Hashem, so you see that Bilam, he was going in the wrong derech, and Hashem said, fine, no problem. I'll help you out. You want to go in this derech? Go ahead. So it's an amazing statement. It's like saying that a person decides on a derech in Torah, even Torah. It's not. I know Tzadok says specifically in Torah, but for us it's a bigger chiddush, right? Even though it's Torah, so Hashem says, you make that decision, you're totally off base. You're going to remain off base. Hello, Tir You'll see by Eliyahu Navi, Shamuzal Chazal say Shakosh Nava Yisbach Tzidkas. Hashem was not happy to stop the rain for 3 years. Eliyahu said, "Stop the rain." Hashem stopped the rain for 3 years, and Hashem said, "Okay, I'm not happy with this, but you made the decision. We're gonna go with it, and I'm gonna help you out with this." Hashem did not want the rain to stop. Nevertheless, Eliyahu said to Eliyahu, when he started to go and hide yourself. And he helped him to hide himself from Achab with a miracle. Says that Elio went into a place which they didn't place, he didn't have what to eat, and the ravens brought him meat. So Hashem helped him out in doing the wrong thing. In doing Ratzon Hashem, because Elio thought he was doing Ratzon Hashem. And this is he thought was the right thing to do. Ilu, I don't know this simon here. Ilu. Hoya. A lot of typos in this piece. Now here it says Simon should be Ilu Hoya. If Ach would have found him, that would have been the Ratzon Hashem. He would have compelled him to stop the to stop the famine and start the rain. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu said, "No, I really want the rain to start, but you don't want it to start. You're in charge here. Tzaddik goes to HaKadosh Baruch Hu Mekayim. You decreed it. I fulfill it." Kamosha Achacha, Kamosha saw Yehoram Elisha. I think Yehoram found Elisha and made him give rain also. Similar story. So when we see this principle of Lo B'Shamayim, that things are not controlled by Shamayim in a way that you can be secure that what you're doing is the right thing and that you're right. And even though in the famous story where Rabbi Eliezer said, he passed in a certain way by a certain type of oven, that it was Tzahar, and Chachamim arguing, they said it was Tameh, and Rabbi Eliezer brought all sorts of miraculous proofs that he was right, that the walls of the base measure started falling down, and the water in the river started flowing backwards, and then a voice came out from heaven and said, "Thou logos like Rabbi Eliezer," and Rabbi Yeshua said, "No, lo b'shmaimi. In Shamayim, we don't determine these things. We determine here below, and we go after the majority." So they helped Rabbi Eliezer out even with miraculous wonders to show that he was right, and it was not correct. It wasn't ultimately Ratzon Hashem. They're not relying out here, but down below. Because they thought they thought, why is Hashem helping you out? Because he wants to go in this derech, but not that's the right derech. This also was the complaint of Bnei Yisrael. Atem hamisemes es am Hashem. It said after Korach made his entire dispute with Moshe Rabbeinu and with Aaron HaKohen, and there was the plague, and they were put to death. So there's a plague from Shamayim. Jews died in a plague from heaven, and Avapi Sharua Flogas and Ace. But of them, even though they saw the great miracle where, forget the plague, that the ground opened up and they died by going down to the ground. The plague happened afterwards. I'm making a mistake. The plague Hashem is where the people complained about the people going down into the ground. And then afterwards, once they complained, the plague happened to punish them. But in any event, the question is, what are you talking about? You killed the people. Moshe made a daven. He said, Hashem, if I'm right, so then make the earth open up. So earth opened up by Hashem. Why are they complaining and saying Moshe Rabbeinu killed the people? Korach, Odasan, and Abiram, and all the people with him. It's Hashem. So he says, no. They thought Kilo B'Shmaimi. The same principle applies here. It wasn't up to Shamayim. Hashem's not the one who killed them. Rather, Rakate Vein Lisbocha Shadin Moshe Varon Neged Korach Vadoso. There's no proof from this that the halacha is like Moshe and Aaron against Korach and his group. Rakatem Tzitzim Melech B'derech you. Moshe Rabbeinu wanted to go in this derech. It was Chuschem Agodo, and you had great merit. That's why you succeed in killing them, because Hashem followed you. So, the question is, what is the person supposed to do? Like I said, this is extremely depressing, because it comes out that you think you did the right thing, and Hashem gives you siyata dishmaya, he helps you out, and it's not true. It was the wrong thing all along. It just said if you were determined to do it, and you were doing it based on your understanding of Torah, so Kodesh Baruch Hu helps you out, even though it's the wrong thing. So obviously, the idea here is that a person has to assess independently whether he's doing the right thing and not rely on what he sees as Siyata Dishmaya. See, is Kodesh Baruch Hu just helps people out if they want to help, even if they're doing the wrong thing. And there's a Gemara like this. Gemara says that when a Ganav comes to steal from a house, a thief comes to steal from a house, so it's not in the Gemara itself in Brachos, but it's in Yaakov version of the Gemara. It says, Ganav apu machtar to Rachmona Kari. The Ganav, when he's going in to steal, he's going to burglarize a house. So he calls out to Kodesh Baruch Hu to help him out. And it sounds in the Gemara there that Kodesh Baruch Hu helps him out. You dive with enough kavana, even you're davening to succeed at stealing, you'll be successful. So we see from the fundamental phenomenal principle, which is you get siyata dishmaya because you want it and you need it and you demand it and you ask for it, or you're righteous enough to get it, but it doesn't prove anything. Because siyata dishmaya is a tool Hashem created in this world like any other tool. A person can use many tools, and one of them is siyata dishmaya. One of them is divine assistance. But it doesn't prove you're right. And therefore, a person, on the contrary, has to be extremely, extremely careful, objective, and independent in assessing what's right and wrong, and not rely on the fact that siyata dishmaya. So you have a person who's seems like a great person, who's a gadol b'Torah, is a great yeshiva. He's a tremendously accomplished person in scholarship, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything. And Tzadok repeats this theme a couple of times in Tzidkas HaTzaddik. Everything has to be judged independently. It's a very radical approach. You can't rely on divine assistance to prove anything, because a person who seeks divine assistance will get it, even if they're doing the wrong thing. Okay, so that is a very powerful statement, and it leads directly into Samachay. So what's the person supposed to do? So he says, Adam tzarich limsor nafsho Hashem Yisbarach. Person has to be most and willing to give his soul to Hashem. Sheim eino krotz Hashem Yisbarach. If somebody is not doing what Hashem is, as muskam melech me'olam, he's willing to leave the world. K'derech Shneimar, it says, Re'eim derech otzebi, L'cheni b'derech olam. See, if a sad derech is in front of me, and take me in the way of the world, meaning if I'm doing the wrong thing, take me out of this world. Kids Amar Yonah, that's like Yonah said, when told Mosi Michayai, that I'd rather be dead than alive. In other words, what Yonah is saying normally, Yonah says that he's upset because Hashem saved the city of Nineveh, and Yonah didn't want them saved. But he says that if I didn't want the city of Nineveh to be saved, and you wanted to be saved, Hashem, so it must be I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, my whole derech in life is questionable, is perhaps not appropriate, so then take me away. Because I'm obviously making mistakes here, which I shouldn't make. And I'd rather not be in this world if I'm going to make mistakes. So a person, so this is the Tzadok is saying that in Samachay, directly after Samachay tells us that a person should daven, that he should make sure to be in the right place, not relying on the fact that he's successful, but asking Hashem to make sure to correct him, and even to the point, as Tzadok, that he's supposed to say that if I'm wrong and I'm not going to fix myself, take me out of this world so before I ruin anything else. That's how we say Tachnun. Achar kol tefillah after every davening. V'isa b'zor reish korach can feel us apayim to say Tachnun. He mesiras atzmon misa. Giving yourself over to willing to die if I'm on the wrong derech. V'agam b'pasha your mozazeh. Also, in simple terms, it will allude to you don't need to have a zor for this. Where you see as Moshe v'Aaron noflu apneim shnei pamim sham b'parshas Korach. Moshe fell on their faces twice in the episode with Korach. Ki reishtun ish chatu ben avshaisim. The 250 people who brought the Torah and they died as a result because they brought the incense, they sinned to their souls. Vrazal, the question is what happened there. Vrazal Amru, the Chazal say Korach should be Kechaya. Korach was very smart. And it says that Maro Lishtu said, why do this foolish thing? Chule. They also, the 250 people, are also not fools. Moshe Ramuzal, Chazal say she was afraid Sanhedrin, shows their heads of Sanhedrin. For Ramuzal, they said, Chazal say she be Chol Man based to see him. At that they were the 12 they were the heads of the 12 tribes, including those 250 people. And also this indicating language of the pasuk. Again, I was when the Bnei Yisrael said that it was before the plague, it was after Hashem killed the people of Korach and his followers, including the 250 members of Sanhedrin. And it says that you killed the nation of Hashem, but they're only individuals. They weren't the nation of Hashem. It's only 250 people, plus the families of Tas and Avira. Kram Am Hashem, why they called the nation of Hashem? They are planted, in other words, they're significant, as if the entire nation. Because they were the heads of Sanhedrin, the heads of the Shvatim were among those 250 people. And they believe that Moshe could punish them. Of course, they believed that they were about to die, which is a very radical statement by Tzadok, saying they knew that they are on the verge of death if they fail. But they sin in their souls, and again, this is a very radical statement by Tzadok. This is why we learn Tzadok, to see these radical things. Like it says by Nazir, Nazir sins on the soul, even though it's a good thing to be a Nazir. Perish mischayim and avshov, because the Nazir is makes himself liable to death, and Nazir a Nazir puts himself into a situation where he's obviously he's I'm not sure if Nazir actually gets a death penalty. I don't think he does for violating his Naziris. He just violates a prohibition. But the point is that Nazir puts himself into a precarious situation because he can do all sorts of prohibitions now with wine and with tuma, which otherwise he wouldn't be doing. But he's willing to do that, take the risk in order to be a Nazir, which is worth it because a Nazir is very holy. And here too, they're taking a risk knowing they're taking a risk. They knew that in the eventual future, you're not going to need a hierarchy with people on top and people on bottom, people teaching and people learning. Everybody's going to be equal. And that's what Korach said. And Tzadok elsewhere says, he wasn't wrong, he was just premature. When Korach said, all the congregation are holy and God is among them. Right? Why are you, Moshe and Aaron, being superior to the rest of the nation? Korach wasn't wrong. He was just premature. Eventually, that's going to be a situation. Eventually, all Jews will be equal. The lowest of the low and the highest of the high. But not yet. So that's and here too, that's what they thought. They thought, okay, maybe it's the time already where we can all be Kohanim Gedolim. We're all on that Madrega, right? Maybe on that Madrega already of everybody holy. And they thought it was the time. In fact, it's not for the sin of the Chet Ego at first and then the Chet Meraglim afterwards. They would have been on such Madrega. The Dora Midbar was worthy of being such a Madrega. I mean, Madrega, everybody's equal. Because they yearn for this as much, they wanted to be on this Madrega. Actually, these Swatsu, they got to the level they agreed. Be'emes, in truth, Shin Be'emes ain't a Madrega, so if they're not on this Madrega, then they'd rather be dead. And they're agreed to really die. They're willing to be Moser Nefesh and say, you know what? If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, God, take me away. And that's when Chazal mean they say Korach was smart. By Chazal always understand Pikech Arum, which is Arum means cunning. Uh, if a person is cunning, he knows how to plan things. He'll do such and such. So what does it mean? Shetami das etz das tovara. So I don't know where the statement is in Chazal, but somehow that he was, it says by the etz das vayifkuchu neshnehem, the eyes of Adam and Chava opened up. They became pikrim, opened up, and they were on a level where they were perceived things on a much higher level. V'yisam kelokim dodei tovara, which was the negative for them because it wasn't the right time for it. That's where they had to be taken out of Gan Eden. Korach also is such a madrega. He ate from the Eitz Hadas. I don't know how he got it. I don't know if it's literally true or it's symbolic, but it's a very high madrega. And he was willing to die for that madrega. Just like Adam and Chava willing to die for that madrega. That's why they ate from the tree. So the idea is that, yes, they're very madrega. But nevertheless, it wasn't the right time. Therefore, they had to die. But it was a gamble. Maybe it was the right time. Make a mokum marach was that. Oh, doesn't want to speak about more, but even though they're called sinners, sinners in their souls. Nevertheless, they're on a tremendously high level. That's what they merited, that their pans, which they brought the incense, became coverings for the mizbeach. It says, separate yourself. Uplift yourselves from among them. Ramban asks, why do you have to separate themselves? So, God is God. He can make a miracle that they'll go down or they'll be burnt and everybody else and Moshe and Aaron will survive. Why did Hashem have to tell Moshe and Aaron to separate themselves from this congregation? So he says, amazing thing. In this respect, their willingness to die on the basis of their beliefs was something which made them incredibly high level. So therefore, yeah, had Moshe and Aaron been among them, they might have been saved. Because if they're the other people, the 250 people are big Rishoyim, and Moshe and Aaron are big tzaddikim, maybe they'll be saved. But if they're big tzaddikim, they're going to be killed. So then, Moshe and Aaron will be killed among them. So immediately after Moshe and Aaron were told to separate themselves and lift themselves up, here they felt, you know what? We also should be in that madrega. If these people are such a high level, we should also be in a high level. From the Muslim Misa, Moshe and Aaron said, you know what? If we're wrong, kill us. What's our supposed to be saying? They wanted to do like the people of Korach and his congregation. So some Tzadok is a mind-boggling. Tzadok, like most of Tzadoks. He's saying that the people at the time of Korach, they were on a very high level. They weren't just rebels. And the reason why they died is because they were willing to die because they thought maybe this was the time when they could be on a high madrega, being like high priests, being on the same level as Moshe and Aaron. They were wrong. So that's the flip side of the previous piece. The flip side of the previous piece says that you never know, even if you have tremendous siyata d'shmaya, then it's not evidence that you're right. And the flip side of that is that you should, if you're wrong, you should be willing to accept that you're wrong and say, you know what? Okay, then take me away. If I'm wrong and I can't survive, and I'm going the wrong derech, then take me away. So therefore, a person always has to be willing to admit that I might be wrong, even though I'm trying for great holiness, and even though he's trying for great holiness and is recognized great holiness, he might be wrong. Has to be willing to die if necessary in order to avoid being wrong. But we're not at such a level. We're not. They say about huge people, right? Great people who are on level of Moshe and Aaron. Right, the way the Tzadok puts it. So therefore, what we have to do on our level is we have to be understanding that everything we do, we can't rely on signs from heaven, and we can't expect the signs from heaven to show us what to do. We have to figure out what the right thing to do is, and we have to be willing to accept that sometimes we make mistakes. And never think that just because something is working out, that means it's right, and just because something's not working out means it's wrong. And be willing to accept that I might be wrong and try and either rethink all things all the time, or ask other people to help us out. Okay. The next piece also is related, but we're going to leave for next time. Tefillah tzarich chol davar. Always daven. No matter what. The best eitzah is always to daven for Hashem to help us out. Okay, and sometimes it's not the time for Hashem to help me out in what I'm doing, because then he might help me out in the wrong thing. The time with Hashem should help me out to know what the right thing is. Okay, but we'll leave that for next time. Very good. Have a great week. Take care.
Take care.